You are live.
Welcome, Keller ISD. Welcome, Keller ISD teachers. It's so good to see you this afternoon. We are so thankful you're here joining us for our Kickstart Your Learning Live. We have such a special treat for you today. Thank you so much for coming. We're going to be talking about Seesaw formative assessment. So this training this afternoon is for any of our elementary teachers that use Seesaw or any of our other teachers across the district and upper level grades that also use Seesaw. Thanks for joining us. Want to introduce ourselves. We are Educational Technology in Keller ISD. My name's Christy Harold, and I have a lovely co-pilot with me today, Misty Shea. She's running the back end today. If you ever need help or have questions, feel free to email us. We are Misty and Christy. All right, I'm going to start with a little housekeeping if you've never done a YouTube Live before. So you may be new to our district, or maybe you've just never had the opportunity to jump into one of our Kickstart Your Learnings. This is a training that we do once a month on a Wednesday afternoon. We start at 4:30. We end by 5:15. It's always a little, we end whenever we're done with our content. It's a great way for you to see a short bit of content and be able to interact with us in the chat of the YouTube. So your YouTube screen may look like the picture that you're looking at. You may see your window of video and then a chat window to the right. If you don't, your window over here to the right might say you need to create a YouTube channel to join the chat. And guess what? You already have a YouTube account because you're part of Keller ISD and you really already have a channel. We just need to open it up. So if you don't see the chat, we're going to teach you 3 simple clicks to get that opened up. Anyone that chats with us during the course of all of our learning, which will be about 30 to 45 minutes, we will make a class in KickUp and we will award credit for it. So it'll just be SBEC credit this year, but if you need that credit, it will be there for you. So if you did not have the chat window, here's what you need to do to open it up. In the top right, you should have your profile circle, not the tiny one at the very top right, but there should be one on YouTube. And in YouTube right now, our profile images are blocked. So you probably see the faint circle there, but your image that you usually see associated with your Google account probably doesn't show. That's okay. Click on that profile circle that's most likely blank and choose Create a Channel. Then you're going to get a screen where you have some options. I'd like you to pick the option that says Use Your Name. So select that and then click Save and Continue. So I'll go over those steps again. Again, 3 easy clicks. Your profile circle, which again probably doesn't have your picture in it, but you can still see that it's there. Top right. Create a channel. Then make the choice that says use your name, select that, and then save and continue. Once you do that, it will open up your chat feature for YouTube Lives. You might have to return to our website in order to see this video again. So if you get lost, just return to www.kellerisd.net/kickstart. That address is at the bottom. Every time I go down there, it's moving my little mask on top of it. So hopefully you guys can see it. Just return to that link and you should be back into the YouTube Live. So take a second to do that. Those of you that have been to one of our Kickstart Your Learnings before, go ahead and start introducing yourselves. I'm not watching the chat, so you probably already are because you're old pros at this. Welcome again. We're so glad to have you. Introduce yourself by telling us your name and your campus and maybe what you teach. Okay, we have such a treat for you today. Like I said earlier, we have a special guest. We have Yvonne from Seesaw here to talk about one of Seesaw's new features. And we are so lucky to have her. We're so thankful that she's doing this for us. We think the formative assessment tool in Seesaw is going to be perfect for the classroom, a great way to check your kids' learning quick. And I have not seen this training, so I'm super excited to see it as well. Again, we're here for Seesaw Formative Assessment, and I'm going to be quiet now, and I'm going to let Yvonne take over. And you guys feel free to chat with us during the learning. If you have a question, throw it in there. If you have a that's cool, throw it in there too. And aha, I wonder, all the things, throw them in the chat. Misty will be watching that and we'll engage with you that way. Again, especially if you want the credit for today, throw your name in that chat so we can add you to the Kick Up class. Again, welcome to Kickstart, and I'm going to turn it over to Yvonne.
Thank you, Christy and Misty. So welcome everyone to using formative assessment to support responsive instruction. So I'm just going to take over sharing now, and you all should be able to see my screen. And so just like, and they were saying, if you all have any questions, comments, ahas, please feel free to share them in the chat. And they will definitely let me know. So in this training, we're really just going to talk about how to use Seesaw's formative assessment to really support responsive instruction in your classroom. So before we get started, like they said, my name is Yvonne Post, and I am an instructional partner here at Seesaw. And really, I'm here also to support Keller ISD. I'm so excited to be here today to support you all with formative assessment. I actually live in Texas. I live right down I-35 in San Antonio, so native Texan here. I was a classroom teacher. I taught kinder, first, and second grade in Northside ISD, that's located here in San Antonio. And I also was an academic technology coach, supporting teachers just like you, administrators, and our students to really help facilitate that integration of technology. So again, really happy to be here with you all and share the best of the best Seesaw. So let's get started with formative assessment. So what you're seeing here is a second grade student's formative assessment. So if you just take a quick glance at this, you see that the student here has moved their base 10 blocks. They've answered the question, and you probably automatically notice that the question that they answered is incorrect. But we don't understand why. We just see movement of base 10 blocks. We see some annotation on the Seesaw canvas. But what I really do love is that the student has added an explanation using their voice. So let's take a listen right quick on what the student has notated for us.
I took 110 and put four cubes on top, 4 cubes on top of it, and I got 6. So 10 plus 4 equals 6.
Really love the power of Seesaw here, especially having students use their voice to share their learning with us, really giving the teacher learning insights here, helping you as a teacher understand any misconceptions, are really helping you celebrate the student's progress and success. So as the teacher here, or maybe you're an instructional leader at your campus, really want you to think for a moment, how would you help the student here? What would be your next step? So after looking at that visual representation, after listening to the student give their explanation for that formative assessment, for that problem, excuse me, how would you lead that student? What would be your next steps? So think about that for a moment. You can definitely share those in the chat. You can, if you've got maybe a group of, maybe your team is together, maybe share those thoughts with your team members. Again, really thinking about what would be your next steps. What I do love about Seesaw here and that power of the formative assessment is that added voice piece, really allowing the student to share their thoughts with you. That way you have a better direction of your teaching, how you can best help support the student as well. So I'm going to give you about 30 more seconds to really think about that, really simmer on your ideas. And of course, if you're sharing with a partner, giving you some time to share as well. I know you all are coming up with some great ideas on those next steps. You all are masters at your craft, and I would just love to be in the room with you as you are talking about this. So now that we've seen what a formative assessment would look like from a second grader's perspective, how you may act upon those learning insights, just really thinking about how powerful formative assessments really are. And the tool that we have built within Seesaw really is going to help you as a teacher monitor progress over time, really celebrate that growth and success just really over that one academic school year, or maybe you're looking at it in the short term. And so it's also going to enable you as the teacher to really be responsive in your own instruction, whether that's whole group instruction, whether that's small group instruction. We know those skill-based groups change so frequently, and how you're going to design your independent practice as well, really supporting all the learners in your classroom. So really what we're going to look at today is how we're going to use formative assessment to really drive those learning insights, to really gain that deeper understanding of what our students are understanding in our classroom, to really and also to pull that data as well, that we're making the best informed decisions we can make as teachers. So again, we're going to look at assigning formative assessments to help with student understanding. We're going to look at where to find that data. We're also going to look at where those formative assessments currently lie within our current existing collections inside the Seesaw library as well. So first, we're going to look at how to assign a formative assessment within Seesaw. So those are those existing collections that you're going to see. We also have a collection that's also pre-made, ready to go for you. And so as a reminder that formative assessments in Seesaw are going to give you that authentic view into, again, that student understanding, just like we saw in that second grader's example. And so as students are completing those traditional assessment types, now they can actually leverage our multimodal tools built within Seesaw, really allowing them that choice. So using their voice, especially so that way it can capture their understanding, giving you, again, better understanding into what the students' needs are moving forward. So how do we get there, right? So I'm going to jump right into my Seesaw account. So this is my teacher account, and there are two ways to get to our pre-made formative assessment collections. You can simply tap on the green add button and tap on assign activity, and that's going to take you to your My Library. Or the fastest and easiest way to get there is to tap on the library button. And so when you do this, it'll go right into the Seesaw library. And remember that it is defaulted to the grade level that you teach right within Seesaw. And so to get to that pre-made formative assessment collection, you are just going to tap on now Seesaw Essentials. It was sitting at the very top for like the first few months of back to school, but we were very sneaky and we put it inside a title. So now it's in Seesaw Essentials, just in case you're wondering. My teacher tip to you is I love tapping on all, even though I may be a kindergarten teacher or a third grade teacher. I love tapping on all because I like to see all the vast content that we provide to all of our students. Really provides that differentiation aspect. So I'm going to scroll all the way down and you're going to see that formative assessment inspiration collection. I know that's a lot of words, but it does lie there. And I can just tap on view all lessons, and then I'm able to see all of our collections here. And so we have it for math, we have it for language arts, and we even have one for like polls, but it does span for PK all the way to 5th grade. And so one I am going to explore with you is the number assessment. And so I'm just going to select this one. This is missing numbers. So this is a PK to 2 assessment. And you're going to notice that we have 2 modes. We have a practice mode and we have an assessment mode. So I'm just going to go to present a class and we're going to look at practice mode. And so in practice mode, what you're going to notice is that students use here, and this is just an example of an assessment in practice mode, but students here are going to use what we call a drag and drop feature. And so when they drag and drop the numbers here, so as you can see, it's on a number line. And so when they drag and drop the numbers, you notice right away that they get that instant feedback within practice mode. So if I go to check work, it's instant for them, right? So they don't have to wait for you to respond. They don't have to wait for it to come back to them in draft mode or edit mode, or they don't have to go to you and say, did I do this correctly? It's instantly given to them within the Canvas. So I love practice mode, especially for our little learners. This is great. So again, try again. Oh my goodness. 1, 2, maybe I need to go find that visual representation in my classroom, or I have a visual representation on my desk, or I get it out of my math folder. And so I need to, utilize that. And then I put 3, and then I can do a check work. So I know what you're thinking. You're like, this is great. I love it. So it's auto grading for me, right? Yes. And so the next thing you're probably thinking is, how is it tracking the data? It's tracking basically the students' every movement. And so as they're simply dragging and dropping everything in here and they're doing check work, every time they click on this, like try again, or they got it correct, it's tallying that up in a sense. It's accumulating that data for you. So that way, it took the student this many tries to get the correct answer for 3, for 6, for 7. And that way, as the teacher, okay, in my next small group instruction for math, I need to review number lines, or what comes before or after numbers 1 to 10. And so that way it gives you better insights, or students, are they just clicking around? And so it kind of gives you those insights as the teacher. So this is practice mode. And so I love that immediate feedback for the students. So let's look at assessment mode, but let's look at it in the lens of a different one. Let's look at, this one is product of 2 equal groups. So in this one, you're going to see this in assessment mode. And so you're going to notice a distinct difference here. What do you notice? There is no check work option. So if I come in and I select an answer in my multiple choice, I don't have an option to check work. So there is no immediate feedback. There is no celebration of confetti here. And so what happens is that students would then just tap on the green check. It is submitted to you as the teacher. You are to review that, and then they would get a response back stating they got it correct or they got it incorrect. And so here students can definitely utilize the virtual manipulatives built within the Canvas. And so they can still listen. One thing I would add as the teacher, when you go in and you edit any of these assessments or you're creating on your own, is you can come in and you could add that voice option like you saw at the very first one, that example of the 2nd grade student, how the student went in and added that explanation of voice. So I would definitely go in and add that piece. So you're probably thinking, these are great, I love them, but where do they exist within our current lessons? So I'm going to go back to the Seesaw library. And so I'm going to show you a couple of collections where they naturally already exist and collections that you may be already using. So I'm going to go into the English Language Arts tile, and I am going to select, for now, I'm going to select kindergarten. And I am going to go into Phenomenal Phonics. It's a very popular collection. I'm going to tap on the lessons, and I'm just going to select the letter M. And what you're going to notice here in Phenomenal Phonics is that you'll see all those traditional lessons that we've originally had, and you're going to notice a change. We now have a quick check built right in between. So if you are a teacher that has been using Phenomenal Phonics, you love Phenomenal Phonics, or maybe you've just been picking and choosing the lessons that you love, check it out. Now built in between, we now have a quick check. So in the quick check, students can come in and you can assess them right away. And so now they can come in and they can listen.
Map.
And then does this sound have the sound? If it does, then they can drag and drop their work. And again, they can listen to it or they can say it. They can sound it out. At. Oh, that doesn't have the sound. It doesn't start with the So then mug, they can keep going. And then I could go through this whole thing. And then let's say I accidentally put nut in there. And then I see, oh, checking my work, I could go back, celebration. And so that instant feedback for the student. And so again, you can go through all of this. You can do this whole class. You can do this small group. You can do this however you feel is best for your students. And then we've got more. There's always more, right? If you go to present to class for the show what you know. Now, I will say some of these have them and some of them do not. We are working to get through all of them. So I will leave you with that note. On the second slide of the show what you know, that first one was like the traditional. You've always seen this one. But on the second slide, now we have that built-in formative assessment for you with that layer of the voice option now, so that way students can explain their thinking for you. And again, giving you that additional layer of that insight. So again, sort the words and images into the box that have the focus sound. What was the focus sound? The letter M. And so let's say I do it again and I notice though I don't have, it's in assessment mode, it's not in practice mode. So if I did put in a word that doesn't have the sound, then I wouldn't be prompted one way or another. I wouldn't have that option to check my work. So again, really great options here. And so I'm going to go back to the English Language Arts tile just to show you another option built in. So we do have Alphabet Treasures also has this. So I'm going to go to letter A. And then in the letter A, I have to make sure I pick the right one because I do it wrong every single time. And hopefully I don't do it wrong this time. Let me see. I think it's not that one. Let's see. It's because y'all are watching me. And so I'm going to get it wrong. Yep. I got it wrong and that's okay. Let's see. It's supposed to have the little, it looks like a bucket. And now I'm not going to be able to find it because you all are, let's see. It's supposed to be in this one and now I can't find it. Oh no.
While you're looking for it, Yvonne, I had not seen the check your work feature. That is so amazing. I love it. And there's some love for that in the chat too.
Yay, I love it. Here it is. I was like, I know there's a bucket. It's in the show what you know. And so again, it's in assessment mode. It's not in practice mode, but these again are all pre-made for you and you can always edit these at any time. And so students would then identify all of the letters that start with capital and lowercase a. So they're just sorting those letters in there, good sorting practice, good of that identification. We know that's part of the PK and kinder standards. And so again, making sure students are able to recognize those. I know I had to do a lot of that when I was a kinder teacher, and then the sound identification as well. So that is where a lot of those lessons naturally are going to fit in there. There are a couple of others too. I can tell you for Spanish, I will showcase this one piece. For Spanish, if you have students in your class, so I'm making sure I'm doing this right. And there it is. Okay, so it's phonética phenomenal. So in here, I'm going to go to the letter A. You will see it's going to they look very similar to phenomenal phonics. And so again, we have the pre-made assessments in here. So again, that quick check. And so I don't know why I always get this. Oh no, it's not going to let me. Well, you saw it very, very flashing. I don't know why my account does that, but it is in that account. It is in that collection. So again, if I come in here, you will see that quick check there. And that is the only place right now that they have it. It will not be in the show what you know yet. So Spanish is working on being built out. So I will let you know that piece, but wanted to let you know, putting a little plug in there for Spanish as well. So lots of great things coming for formative assessment. Now, when you are ready, and you're like, this is great, I love it, I'm ready to assign this to my students, I really want to get them in there working, and I want to see what they know. We've been working on this skill for a while now. It's time for that quick check. Let's do it. Remember, at any time you can edit this activity. You just have to tap on the 3 dots, go in and edit the activity. You have access to all of our templates. Let's go in and assign that activity. So again, you have access to edit that activity from assigning as well. You can differentiate your groups here. So maybe you're looking at just that skill group that you were, reteaching for the past week. You really want to hone in on that. So you can definitely just focus in on that skill group, or maybe it is all of your students. And so what you can do here at the very bottom, remember I've been talking about practice mode and assessment mode. I just want to let you know that now we do have the option at the very bottom, because for all of our assessments, you have the option to go with the different kinds of modes. And so you can go with mixed mode, which means it'll default to the mode that it's currently set in. And then if not, you can choose it to go into practice mode or assessment mode. Like you're like, oh my goodness, no, I really wanted that to be an assessment, or no, they really need the practice right now. Like they need that quick check. You can change that up while you're assigning it. Just don't forget to do that while you're assigning, and then go ahead and assign it out to your students. So the next piece I have for you is looking at the data. So as I've shown you all of this now, there's a lot of great pieces in here. And like I was, hinting at, you're looking at this, you're like, oh my goodness, this is great. It's pre-made, it's collecting everything, it's auto-grading, it's auto-populating. But where is it all going? That's probably next in your head. I know it is. I feel it. I can feel it right now. So while we're assessing everything, we want to be able to pull that data because we want to be responsive, right? That's the next piece of this. And so we want to be able to support our students and meet their needs, meet them where they are. And so when we check for that understanding or doing those quick checks, and it doesn't matter what mode you're using, whether it's practice mode or assessment mode, we can definitely see that data in real time once students submit that assessment right back to you. And so Seesaw has really made that very easy to do. And so let's take a look at that. So as the teacher, you are able to do this. So once they submit that assessment right back to you, you are able to then go back and grade that. So you can approve that in different ways. So rather than me just showing you a bunch of slides, I am actually going to go in and I am going to demonstrate this. So let me get out of the library. And I'm going to switch accounts real quick because it's just easier for me to show it to you in a different account. And there, okay, I didn't. There we go. And we just, have to be in 5 classes here. Here we go. Okay, so the student has submitted the response back to you. You've approved it. This is already thinking you've already graded it, okay? And so it's sitting here in the journal. So this is one way you can go and view the data. I can click on the activity from the journal and I can actually see all of the data here. If not, if the activity just came in, you're going to naturally see it here, the one unapproved post. You can view it that way, or you can actually go to activities and you would have to go back in time unless it was that current week, and you would have to search for it by week. And that one was dated August 24th. So it actually have to get out the calendar and go backwards in time, which I know is a little bit of a pain point right now. We've heard the feedback, so keep sharing it. We love it. So I am just going to use this right now, and I am just going to tap on the actual activity. So when I do that, it takes you back to that assessment activity. And right now it gives you that very general overview, right, of all of the data that you have collected from your students. So I can see here that all of my students have responded. I had 10 responses. And right now I see that overall post-session report is what we could call it. So at the very top here, I have a default, and right now it's defaulted to all students. I can click on this drop down and I could actually select to view one student's data report, if that's what I choose to do as a teacher. So maybe I have a student who's receiving specific tiered interventions, or I have an upcoming parent conference. So this really could benefit you as the teacher in multiple ways, or you just want to celebrate student growth with your administrators, a team lead, anything like that. Right now, I'm going to leave it to all students so we can really dive deeper into this. So you can also get that at a glance view of that class overall score. And so right now I can see that 7 of my students out of the 10 got a 90 to 100%, and 3 students scored in the range of 0 to 59%. So that really makes me think as a teacher, like, oh, okay, I need to look at those 3 students. I really need to focus in on those 3 students and why did they score so low? And so when I tap on this arrow here, there's a little arrow off to the side. I can actually dive deeper into that. And so love that it does this already for you. And so it kind of shows me specifically who those students are who scored in the top tier range. And then the students my 3 students who I really need to focus in on. And so when I dive deeper into that data, I can also see the question that was asked. So there was a specific math skill-based question asked. And I can actually click on that question response now, and I can actually see, okay, out of that 7, out of those 7 responses that were correct, remember I said that it tallies how many times they click try again and got it correct. So Allie got it correct, but it took her 3 tries to get the answer correct. But if I look at Carl, it only took him 1 try. So Carl is on track here. But if I look at Melissa, it took Melissa 5 tries to get it correct. But she did get a correct response. So maybe I still want to focus in on Melissa and Allie and possibly place her or place both of them in the group in my next skill-based group for this type of math question. And so I could also look at Mia and Yvonne, who also got it incorrect. And then Colleen, it took her one try. So I'm not sure what happened to Colleen. Maybe she just tried it and she didn't submitted it. So maybe I just need to have a discussion with Colleen on how Seesaw works. Within that, I could look at Mia specifically. So Mia got it incorrect. It took her 3 tries and she still was unable to get the correct answer. So when I click on Mia's name, it allows me to see here that I could go into her response. I could see her completed formative assessment. I can listen to Mia's explanation, giving me as a teacher those really helpful insights like we heard earlier. I can see that she did select the incorrect answer. It did tell her to still try again, but she still submitted it that way. But you know what? Listening to Mia's insights here really helped me understand her misconceptions of this math problem. So when I do my reteach on Monday, now I know how to better support Mia. She needed more visuals on her, she needed more tangibles, or she's still struggling with the way, this problem works. And so really helping support her. Something else that's new, informative assessments at the very top left corner, you'll be able to see like their overall score. And again, like they got the answer incorrect. So if you had like multiple questions too within your formative assessment, it just kind of gives you like that overall view, and you could go through each one, but you can always collapse that view as well. So I can just come back out of that. And then again, you can go through each one. So if you wanted to look at Colleen as well, she also got the answer incorrect, but I could also listen to Colleen's misconceptions as well, really giving me that accurate data capture of how I can best support my students and that skill-based reteach. So that is how you can go about looking at that formative assessment data. So what if you have one that has a lot of questions, a lot of data? So this is what it would look like. Here's just an example of what one would look like. And this one had like multiple, it had like an ELA component and a math component, some like true, false in there. So this is what it would look like. And so again, you could definitely tap on the arrows and collapse that as well, really giving you, the teacher, that true picture, more accurate data of how you can best support your students moving forward. So I threw a lot out to you today. Where you can find all of our pre-created lessons, where like that one collection, where you can find formative assessments and existing collections, where you can go and capture or where you can find that data, capture it, and utilize that to better support your students, really being responsive, right? Christy, I will throw this back out to you. I know we're coming up on time. And so I do have an explore slides for teachers to go in and just kind of explore for a few minutes, but I also want to make sure I answer and address any questions from our teachers as well.
Yeah, so there's no specific questions in the chat, but there was a lot of love for that data as well as the quick check. I just think that thing is amazing. I am so excited to see it today. So yeah, go right into your explore slide. At least tell us what we should do to explore. How about that?
Yeah, we can definitely do that. So we do have some time, and I love giving you time to go in and explore. So what I would love for you to do for the next few minutes before we kind of come back together as a whole group to close out today is for you to go back and navigate the library just like I did. So I will walk you through that process one more time. So just tapping on the library button, I feel that that is the easiest way to do this. Tapping on the library button, going into the library. And you can either go to Seesaw Essentials, and remember scrolling all the way down to the bottom, and you can look through that formative assessment inspiration collection that is pre-made formative assessments for you to use today, tomorrow, with your students. Or you can go ahead and you can go back to the Seesaw library. And for example, I know in the English language arts tile, you can go into, I know like PKK 1 and 2, for sure, like phenomenal phonics. You can go in and explore those existing collections like phenomenal phonics and look at those quick checks, the show what you know on slide 2. Not every single one will have it just yet. We are working to be quicker at that, and see if this is something that meets your students' needs. And remember, if at any time you want to edit them, just tap on the 3 dots and select edit activity, and it takes you right into the template, and you are welcome to change anything that you need to meet the needs of your students best. So I will pull this back up and give you a few minutes to do that, and then we can come back together. And again, if there's any questions, please let me know. I'm happy to share anything. All right, so I love that you all were able to have that brief moment of exploration. Remember, you can go back into Seesaw at any time and explore those. And we are always informing Christy and Misty of all the newest and latest updates right within Seesaw. And I know they do such a wonderful job of sharing out those updates with you. But if ever you have any questions, or you're not sure where to go next, always let them know. And they have a direct line to me all the time, and they can always ask me. One thing I will plug in for you that is coming soon, probably after next week, that is my best guess, is that we are going to have a video that's going to show you how you can create an assessment on your own. I know that's been a really high teacher ask. And so we want to let you know that you are going to be supported from the Seesaw professional development team on how to create a formative assessment on your own. Just really neat little tips and tricks on how to do that as you get started with formative assessment. So I am going to close out, not with that slide. That was the wrong slide. I'm so sorry. I've got so many slides. It's crazy. Really just letting you know that as you get started with your formative assessment journey, or maybe you've already tried a couple, kudos to you. just making sure that you set a goal for yourself. Formative assessments can be scary, but it can be so much fun and so powerful for you as the teacher and all that data that you're going to gather on your students and really how you can push forward with Seesaw. So maybe you're the go-getter on your team, or you're just really dabbling into Seesaw. Set a goal for yourself. Try one of the pre-made ones. Try one of the ones that are already in an existing collection that you love so much. Take out your sticky note, anything like that, write it on a piece of paper and make sure that you hold yourself accountable for that. We are going to add in the chat for you that we have this Seesaw training site for teachers. I encourage you to visit it. It's going to have great information for you. And I am assuming, and I'm very hopeful that this is where that formative assessment video will lie. And so stay tuned for more information on that. As soon as I have it, I will be sure to share it with Christy and Misty. So I'm going to turn it back over to them. And thank you all so much. You have been pleasant today. You all are awesome.
Thank you so much, Yvonne. It was such a treat to have you. I know you guys can show her some love in the chat, but I loved seeing this product. I had not had a true deep dive into it, and so I am so impressed by it. I'm also always impressed by what Seesaw does to just support teachers and students in their learning in the classroom. So thank you for spending your time with us today. We really appreciate it, and for sharing all you shared. I got lost deep diving, looking in the formative assessment inspiration category and just trying out all the little assessments that are already created. And even better news, teachers, you'll be able to create your own. So we will be sure to get that information out to all of our elementary teachers as soon as we get it from Seesaw. What's next? Well, we will have a Kickstart Your Learning in November. We're not ready to release the topic and the date, but it will be coming soon because November is a short month. So be watching social media as well as DWW and your email for news about what's next for Kickstart Your Learning. And as always, we always want to close with resources. So we want you to know that the site we maintain is just www.kellerisd.net/kick. It has Seesaw how-tos on it. As soon as we get the information about how to create your informative assessments in Seesaw, I will definitely link that on the Seesaw page in Kick. And if you don't follow us on social media, you should, because that's how you find out about these fun things and more with EdTech and Keller ISD. So we are at EdTech Keller KISD on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook if you want to follow us on your favorite platform. And if you will go ahead and subscribe to our YouTube channel, which is where you are right now, you can just hit subscribe at KISD Educational Technology. Then you'll be notified of all of our videos that go on the channel. Misty, I know that Seesaw had a feedback form. If you won't mind sticking that in the chat. Teachers, if you'll click on that link as soon as Misty has that in the chat, and if you'll go ahead and give feedback on the training today, I know Seesaw would so appreciate it, and I would love for you to do that since they came and trained for us, just because they want to work with Keller ISD. So we appreciate that. Again, Yvonne, thank you so much for being here. And Misty, if we don't have any other questions, I see. Okay, I see that the form is in there. So teachers, you'll be able to see the chat even a few minutes after we close the YouTube Live if you'll use that link, or actually I think the chat's there all the time. If you have teacher friends that wanted to come today and maybe couldn't, or you want them to re-watch it, again, this lives on our YouTube channel. It will always be there for them to go back to. So with that, we'll close out Keller ISD. Thank you for joining us tonight and have a great day at school tomorrow.